Welcome to NFL Daily, where the Giants landed their man. I'm Gregg Rosenthal, here in Stage 5 with my friend Cynthia Frelund. We are fresh off a taping of Game Day View. You can check us out on NFL Network Friday night, Sunday morning, whenever. But we're going to go through our picks against the spread. As always, Cynthia, you're coming off a winning week, and we're also going to talk a little bit about John Harbaugh, the new head coach of the New York Giants at the back end.
Love it.
Get you an analyst like Cynthia who can do everything, not just pick the games. We're going to talk some ball. We're going to talk some coaches. A lot of people I heard from last week liked the coaching kind of dot connecting we did, and some of it's borne fruit over the last week.
I know. I mean, I can't wait to see where everyone ends up, especially now that the Steelers have the opening as well. Like, lots of turnover.
I know. I didn't want to pat ourselves on the back too hard, but everyone going like, this shocking coaching cycle, all these shocks here and there. And I was like, if you were listening to NFL Daily last month, we were saying like we thought Tomlin and Harbaugh, that there was a real chance that both of them would be gone. That's what happened. But let's get into the games. Only 8 teams left. And so this makes it tougher to make our picks. You went 2-1 last week. I went 1-2. I am blaming the Packers for everything wrong that happened to me last weekend and in my life. I'm still at 36-21.
No, you're having
on the
an awesome season.
I'm feeling great, but you're 8-1 over the last 3 weeks on this show, so that means you get to go first. I'm curious what you're most confident picking, because I gotta admit, if this was a normal Sunday, I think there's only at most one of these 4 games that would have like made my best picks of the week, where I just like knew right away what I wanted to do. I'm curious where you go first.
Well, I'm going to go with a team that burnt me last week, but I think this week in freezing cold conditions, they pull through and they win by more than 4 points, and that's the Rams. I understand it's going to be 2 degrees, and we're going to hear a lot. There's going to be those, I'm calling it now, the temperature thing where they stick Stacey Dales out there and they put a little temperature thing next to her. She's freezing, and they're like, look, it's 0 degrees. And you're like, why are they doing this to her? She could easily go inside a concourse, but Stacey's a real one. She'll be great at it. But I do think that the Rams, they do have a big advantage in my opinion in this matchup, because they're not relying on kind of miraculous things at the end. Remember, the Packers, they are without Micah Parsons. They did have to reconfigure their defense, and it still took a miracle as well. I mean, relying on a guy to perform who didn't even complete half of his passes in that game, and on 4th down, you just nail that 4th. Absolutely no shade to Caleb Williams. He had a great game.
That was a little bit of shade.
Well, it's hard to win that way. To live, and they have been, and they've been defying kind of my math and the odds all season long. But Matthew Stafford also has a whole bunch of 4th quarter wins, and it's only 4 points this time, not 10 that I need him to win by. And, as much as we talk about the cold weather, who played in cold weather for a really long time? Devontae Adams. I think pretty sure he remembers his days at Green Bay. So I'm looking at this one, and I think this is where we see Matthew Stafford, the first ballot Hall of Famer, really be Matthew Stafford, the first ballot Hall of Famer.
And none other than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who's going to be back for this game for the Bears, said on Thursday about the weather, whoop-de-doo, citing the Rams and what they did last year to his Eagles. He was still on the Eagles, right? At that point, going up and down the field and really testing them in a way that no one else did during that Super Bowl run for Philadelphia in the snow. Stafford was so close. This was my pick that I said I would have taken in.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going Rams -3.5. We both were off on them last week. Look, I just think a team that doesn't have a pass rush, and the Bears have one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL, is kind of drawing dead against the Rams. Like, of course, there's a route to them winning this game. It's a magical team. They can run the ball. Like,
sure,
they're a good team. But that is such a disadvantage to start from. A team that can't really stop the run, going up against one of the highest success rate run teams in the league. I think the Rams finished either first or second. Bears are up there too, but I think the Rams are a little more equipped to stop the run. It's only 3.5 or 4, depending on where you look. And so this is the one game this week where I don't think the line was as high as I actually expected.
I think their coaches also embody where these teams are at in terms of their life cycle. Remember, there was a couple of years ago when the Rams were playing Chicago. Sean McVay just simply named all of the people on the defense for the Bears, and everyone was like, he's a genius. And it was actually, the thing that was genius about it was that he wasted our time. He didn't have to say anything. Whereas like now Ben Johnson's out here like being sneaky with handshakes and like needing to take his shirt off, and I like the passion in it, but that feels like
you are a hater. You're a Lions fan hater.
It just feels like someone who hasn't been there before, right?
That's fair.
Like I just feel like you have the poise and the prestige of a Sean McVay sitting there being like, just wasting the media's time, being like, Montez Sweat, Kyler Gordon.
He's
like
a genius.
It was hilarious, but not for the reason that people thought.
Sean McVay also alluded to the fact, he's friends with Matt LaFleur, and someone asked if he gave his friend a call this week to get any, scouting, and
they all do, always.
Yeah,
just so you know, they always do.
He basically said, "What do you think?" So Matt LaFleur giving them extra info to beat his arch rival, but ultimately, yeah, I do think they're better. And I've been wrong a lot about the Bears this year. My record would be better if it wasn't for the Bears, partly because of these low probability type of wins that they've had. And maybe they are that sort of magical team that can get it done. Because I do think Caleb Williams is playing his best ball right now. Even though it's inconsistent, he had 5 or 6 throws. It wasn't just that one in that game that was really awesome. Kyler Gordon back last week, and I noticed just not really like
they targeted him a bajillion times.
Not really the guy that you want, and they've given up just a lot of yards in terms of big plays throughout the course of the season. All right, we both have the Rams. What is your second pick?
Picking Denver.
Okay.
Picking Denver in the home upset against the Bills. I think it's weird that they're not favored.
Wait, I think it's flipped around. It kind of depends on like when you even listen to this show.
Okay.
That it's flipped around. At first, it was the Bills were favored.
Yes.
And then I think the public, or who knows who it is, I guess.
A whale?
It could be the Sharps, moved the line. And now it's like 1. It's more or less a pick 'em. I think it's now 1 as of this taping for the Broncos. But either way, you're right. They started as underdogs.
They did start as underdogs. Okay. I mean, I just feel like that's crazy disrespectful considering this defense is very, very good. So I think that the Broncos in this one, I think that they win, and I think they win by more than 1 point. So I'm looking at the opportunity here for the short pass and the run. So a run and a short pass. A short pass can be a proxy for a run. Screen passes. I know it's not like a sexy thing to talk about, but Sean Payton said in August, and I was there, I did preseason with them. Sean Payton said, and everyone thought he was nuts, this defense is strong enough as long as Bo Nix does not take unnecessary sacks, and as long as this offensive line can keep Bo Nix from being sacked when it really penalizes us, then we're going to go to the Super Bowl, and we could even win the Super Bowl with this particular team. He said that in August, and it's kind of played out like that. For a long time, this offense did not have the deep pass. They didn't have, at the end of the season last year, Bo Nix was completing like crazy deep pass. Like it looked great. We were like, oh, against the Bengals, this is the stuff Bo Nix is made out. And then it kind of regressed in the beginning of the season. And now we're just in a situation where all he has to do is play to the weaknesses of the Bills defense. And what is the weakness of the Bills defense? The run game, or short passes that approximate a run.
That's fair, and you can imagine Sean Payton having a really good game plan for that because no one is better at dialing up
you
the
know who's
short
really
passing.
petty? Sean. I love how petty he is, right? And he does not like that he got spanked at Orchard Park last 31-7 in that game. Are you kidding me? Sean Payton probably has like specific plays and cut-ups being like, if this happens again, I will kill you. Like that in a good, not really kill you.
I thought about that this was my stay away game all week long. That this was the game I just was like, I'm taking the Bills because we have to take a team.
Yeah, you have to.
And I took the Bills, but for this exercise, I was thinking it was going to be my stay away. I'm doing some emotional gymnastics when it comes to the Texans, and so I'll just be real with the listener. The game of all the games and the numbers that stuck out to me the most initially is the one that goes against my rule, which is I don't like going against my own team because then you have conflicting feelings. Like if the Patriots win, but they don't cover, I don't want to feel like annoyed that they didn't cover. So in my heart of hearts, this is just being real, like my head too, I think the Texans are a better team. I think the fact that they're getting 3.5 points, like in a normal circumstance, I would be taking that because I think like coin flip game, either way could happen. But when I look at this season, to me, their defense is so special. Like, it's maybe the most special unit on either side of the ball for any team in this entire season. It's a flawed AFC, and that would be enough for me to just be like 3.5 points. I'll just take the points. I'm not going to overthink it. Now it's down to 3. I'd still take the 3 because you get a push even if they lose by a field goal. But because it's the Patriots, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want that conflict. So because of that, I will go against you, and we'll just take the Bills as one of my picks here. Okay. Does that make sense, everything I just said?
Yeah, no, I completely
I don't want
understand.
it to be my official pick. I will make the reasons for why I took the Bills in the end. Like, I do think that there is a route to them. I don't know if it's a matchup thing. I know the teams are very different than they were a year ago. But like defensive line, offensive line, they're really not different at all. And the fact that the Bills had such great success running the ball last year against Denver means a little something to me, because it's not like the teams are that much different. The Broncos, I went and checked this, they were first in success rate allowed as a defense this year. They're an underrated run defense. And you know what? Last year, they were first in success rate allowed on defense. And it was very similar. The Bills this year, one of the very best running teams in the league all season in any metric that you look at. Same this year. And for whatever reason, that matchup last year really heavily favored the Bills. And that's enough, plus the Josh Allen factor, not to just boil it down to the quarterbacks, and the way that Sean McDermott came up with like a very specific game plan last week to take down an even better offense in Jacksonville, that maybe he can do it again. And that was enough for me to just go with the Bills. But I have to admit, I'm putting myself in pretzels here because I'm a Patriots fan and I don't quite really have the belief, but I don't want to pick against my team in a playoff game.
Yeah, so my counterpoint, my only counterpoint to that would be I would feel a lot different about the dimensions of this offense would be if Tyrell Shavers and Gabe Davis, just for the additional numbers. I know Curtis Samuel might be back, but it's like Khalil Shakir and Brandon Cooks.
How about a little Keon Coleman? But you're right. Gabe
wait
Davis, Josh Palmer, Tyrell Shavers, gone. They all gone.
Right. Keon Coleman has been healthy scratches. So something's weird with that. Even though he's on the field, is he really like, and yeah, he's made a couple of catches here and there that are, it's really Josh Allen, James Cook, and the tight ends. And Khalil Shakir. But like, does that feel like enough against this
How
Broncos
about
defense?
the Galaxy brain? Oh, you guys are so good with your outside cornerbacks. You're so good stopping wide receivers. We don't have any wide receivers for you to stop. We're going to be all tight ends. Dalton Kincaid, Jackson Haas.
Okay. I mean,
Dawson Knox,
again,
the double DK connection.
I do think the DK, I think someone with an initials DK will score a touchdown.
I love that. No, I don't feel that strong about that. You know what? Ed Oliver, we didn't mention this on our preview show, but he is practicing this week. There's a chance that Ed Oliver is going to be
Walker's
back.
been really good against the run, too. Just saying.
I'm just saying.
I say their rookie defensive tackle doesn't get enough love. He's had a lot of run stuff. Like, that guy's played really well. I don't know if this will be, again, it's good to have them both, but like.
And I don't think you're taking your Texans, the Texans as the last pick, or are you? What is your third pick?
I don't. Here's my problem with that Texans pick. I have the Texans by 2, so technically you have
the Patriots by 2.
The Patriots by 2, so the Texans technically on the right side of that. I just feel that in this matchup between, even though there is no George Kittle and Sam Darnold has an oblique injury, I just think the Niners keep it close. I just think 7.5 or whatever.
That's what you're going for.
Yeah,
Niners. I'm with you. We're going to be together on that.
Okay, because I just think that's too big of a number. I just don't like 3. If it was 4.5, then 100% I would take the Texans with the point.
Texans.
But I don't like the 3. Like, then you get some weird. Someone misses a field goal and then there's a 3-point. Like, what? I just don't.
And so we're taping this Thursday evening. Nico Collins is almost certainly missing the game. He's not at practice. That looked like a bad concussion. It was Monday night. He literally.
It was a horrible concussion.
There hasn't been a player all season that's missed Wednesday, Thursday practices completely in the concussion protocol and return. So you can basically cross him off. Christian Gonzalez, on the other hand, is at practice. There's not a guarantee that he gets through protocol, but he's not wearing the red contact jerseys. It sounds like he is progressing in ways that usually he would be available.
Again, I just too much uncertainty there at such a small
So we're
number.
both staying away ultimately from the Texans, and we're both going for the 49ers. Now, I got to be real. I can't remember a divisional round like this where, like, I don't have really strong feelings on almost any of these games. I kind of like the Texans, and I do like the Rams, like a medium pick. But after going back and forth all morning, I just thought, even though it feels like that 7 points is like, they're almost daring you to take the 49ers.
They're definitely daring you to take the 49ers.
To take the 49ers. Every time Brock Purdy's faced this Mike McDonald defense, for the most part, it has not gone well.
Nope.
And I get that. But I just think
Christian McCaffrey was one tipped pass away from scoring a touchdown, though, which could have changed some of the trajectory of that game. So, I just feel like...
I just think these two teams have played each other twice this year.
Yep.
And in the first game, the 49ers win, the score only gets to 30. Mm-hmm. The second time the Seahawks win, the total score only gets to 16. I like the number being low in this game. And I just think, having seen each other just now, I just think the 49ers are a really specially coached team. Mm-hmm. I think they'll find a way to keep it close. It will. No Fred Warner, by the way. It has been confirmed. Kyle Shanahan, who I know you call the lying liar who lies, he doesn't lie this bad. He said Fred Warner will not be activated, even though Warner.
But the Ricky Pearsall one could be a lie, because it kind of feels like Ricky Pearsall's coming back, or supposed to be, and that does inform a little bit of my 6 points there. So, but because remember in that first matchup, Ricky Pearsall had 3 20-plus yard receptions, and that was a big deal. It was just like he had 100 yards over 100 yards in the game, so it was a big deal. But that is where the Kyle Shanahan fibber who fibs could come in. I'm still picking them either way. I think they find a way to get it done, because even though they're not telling us, they don't actually owe us. He's not breaking any rules. They know what they're doing internally. They just don't tell us.
And Trent Williams is back, obviously.
Yeah, that's a huge
He played
deal.
Last week. He wasn't there for the Week 18 game. D. Winters could be back, who's a starting linebacker for them. The big story last week, how they were down to their 5th and 6th linebacker, so they could get some help there.
Eric Hendricks.
Ultimately, you only have it at 6 points, and I was feeling about the same, so it's not like a huge,
slam
strong
dunk,
take.
No.
But
There's
ultimately,
only 4 games. We had to pick one.
I'll take the points, so I will take the 49ers as well. So to review, we are on the opposite sides of Bills and Broncos. And
I'm a Bronco, you're a Bill.
Yes.
We're both Rams.
We're both on the Rams, and we're both on the 49ers. So an interesting week where we're on the same side for a couple things. Now, before we get out of here, Cynthia, let's talk about the news that broke overnight on Wednesday into Thursday, that John Harbaugh is the next head coach of the New York Giants. I recommend everyone read our friend Connor Orr's article about the dinner that helped seal the deal at Elia's in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Everyone knows in that whole area, East Rutherford's where you want to be eating dinner when you're in the New York area.
That's where they live. What do you think? Do you think this is the right guy for Jackson Dart and the Giants?
I think it's the best. Here's kind of how I feel about this. I want John Harbaugh to be able to have a little bit of control or help shaping the roster. That will be where the success or lack of success of this team, to me, lies. I don't know what that configuration will be like. It's not been told to anyone.
Joe Shane, their GM, is at the dinner.
Joe Shane's at the dinner.
He ordered a ribeye.
But here's the question. What was the temperature? Because if he ordered that thing well done, then we...
Connor Orr I thought this was very provocative. There were a lot of great details from this article. Number one, Mike McCarthy was there with the Giants brass just a couple days before. They took him there for his interview. But for McCarthy, he ordered, just like they went to the restaurant. They ordered off the menu. When John Harbaugh came, they made a special menu just for Harbaugh. A special fish, a special steak, a special something else. Connor, the first two guys...
What day of the week was it? Because in fairness, going out on a Wednesday night, remember, Monday night is like industry night in the restaurant.
Okay. Either way. Okay. But so the first, they try to get Harbaugh to order first, and Harbaugh insists Chris Mara, who's kind of taking over, this is a sneaky story too with the Giants, as the owner, because John Mara is sick. He orders the fish. John Harbaugh orders the fish. And then Connor thought, in a major power move, Joe Shane goes for the ribeye. Because if you're not paying for the meal, do you go with the ribeye? But I would think Joe Shane has been freeloading off the Giants for a while. He feels no shame, about ordering the ribeye.
I don't know.
Sorry, I went way deeper.
No, but
expected.
The thing is, and I'm trying to say this delicately, I don't know if Joe Shane thought about it that deeply.
I'm with you.
I think some people would have that, would go deeper, and
Yes.
Connor's smart, so of course he does a great job. But I just don't know if that's where.
I don't think Joe Shane's going on that level.
I don't
to
think
answer
Joe
your
Shane's
question,
going that level.
I don't think Joe Shane is going to have a lot of control. I don't know what the setup is going to be with John Harbaugh. I would assume John Harbaugh is making the decisions, not just in personnel, but in the people that he puts into the personnel department. I expect that it will be very similar to the situation that Mike Vrabel had last year. Remember, everyone was like, oh, is Elliott Wolf going to keep his job?
Yep.
Elliott Wolf was kind of running the front office. And everyone was like, and the Patriots like, yes, he's keeping his job. Heck, he got to stay at the podium at the combine. But you know what Mike Vrabel, the first thing he did was hire his guy from Tennessee, Cowden. I forget his first name now. And he brings him in. And Vrabel's really making the decisions. And Cowden is his right-hand man, and he's probably like number 2. And Elliott Wolf is still there, and he's helping facilitate it all. And that's kind of where I see Joe Shane, no matter what the title is going to be. John Harbaugh has about as much juice as the coach of the Giants as any coach in the league has. And it sounds like he got carte blanche, and he's bringing in everyone he wants. Todd Monken is coming to New York, so that's a huge get for him. And he wants to bring Anthony Weaver to New York. We'll see if Anthony Weaver ends up going, but Weaver, who was with him in Baltimore previously,
Weaver's
could
great.
wind up going to New York.
So there's 2 things that I'm going to be looking for. Number 1, who does he hire as that as that right hand person, because that matters. I mean, Chad Alexander, a guy from the Chargers who was getting looks like I believe he's the AGM, right?
Yes.
Assistant GM. I don't know his title, but that guy could be someone that could come over in that sort of mold. I'm just looking at.
It's tricky because do you go fire Joe Shane? Is there a chance Joe Shane just gets flat out fired? That seems unlikely considering he's at these dinners, but who knows? Or he's just there.
But you didn't see. If you're not watching on YouTube, then you missed the look. I'm looking at this one, and okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing, you will know who's in charge if the players start coming back on the sideline. If you've noticed, for the past several years, pretty much since Hard Knocks, there have not been anywhere near the number of former players, that come back to bang the drum, to do whatever the fun stuff that the Giants do to really rally the troops and training camp, all of the things, right? The Giants used to be like, Strahan would go back every year and blah, blah, blah. Like they all were there. Now it's pretty sparse. So I have forecast that we'll see some cool name come in that maybe you don't know, but be a right hand. And then once the players start coming back freely, then you know kind of what's going on there.
I think Harbaugh, for where the Giants were at, ultimately a good hire.
Great hire.
I don't think it's without risk. He's 63 years old. He's been in a very specific situation with good quarterback play with Joe Flacco and great defensive leadership, and then great quarterback play. Lamar Jackson sort of famously saved John Harbaugh's job when they were losing that season. A couple seasons back-to-back, it looked like he was on possibly the outs, and then Lamar comes in and plays great. This is a different situation. I do love the fact, if the reporting is true, that he's getting Todd Monken to come with him, that he did the research on Jackson Dart, and he thinks there's something to play with there, and I would agree. And I think Monken would be a good fit for Jackson Dart, and I do think there's talent there. So I think Harbaugh looked at all the situations around the league. I don't think he was maybe going to have every single job like everyone was making out to be, but that's what an agent does. He creates leverage.
Who's the agent? I need that agent.
His agent is Kevin Harlan's brother, Brian.
Oh, yeah, you told me that. Yeah. Okay, got it.
And I think ultimately, it really felt like this whole thing was like, it's been a long time since Tom Coughlin's been here. Like, Daddy, come help us, John. I felt like that was the situation. Can some grown man just help us? We don't know what we're doing.
Well, I think that's actually probably true. And also, I think if you're going to give Jackson Dart a shot, and looking at the quarterback, now we have, the kid from Oregon's not coming out. So it's not like it's not like this is like the best quarterback crop of recruits coming out ever. Like this, that's not how it is. It's very different now, especially with, the transfer portal and everything. So I think what they said was take a calculated risk. We want to have we want to make it work with Jackson Dart. Can you add pieces in this specific way to give him the best opportunity to succeed? Because we don't think there's a guy out there that could replace him. I don't mean to sound harsh or whatever. I like Jackson Dart a lot. Like I'm a big fan. I think that there's a lot of great things there. I love his attitude. I love, the showmanship. I'm here for all of it, and I think he's a great quarterback. I just also think that does factor into it.
Yeah, and you got Andrew Thomas, you got Malik Neighbors, you have Dexter Lawrence. Although I crossed my mind, like, would he be a guy they potentially look to trade at this point in his contract cycle?
I would imagine some of that defensive front is up for grabs because that is where they have surplus value. And if you're going to trade bait anywhere, that would be where you'd look to because they need help in the secondary. They need help a lot of other places. They need more than just one O-lineman. So, yes. I mean, I don't know.
Kayvon Thibodeau is another guy entering the last year on his contract. He would make sense. But you have Abdul Carter, you have Brian Burns, you have some real deal talent, and ultimately.
And Abdul Carter, that contract's a lot more affordable than some of the other ones. So,
yes.
Just saying.
As someone who lived in New York for 10 years, I do think it's going to be fun. Harbaugh there and just on the back pages, and it's going to be a lot because he's not as big a personality as Jim, but he's a controlling guy, but also like he's going to have all these relationships. If it gets hot there, he could fire off. I just think it's going to be a lot. And I'd like to think like everything's solved. They're going to be fine. They have been the worst team in the NFL for a decade now. Like just in terms of record, it's been them and the Jets. And I do think this is a move that is going to raise their floor
above the
significantly.
Jets.
Well, way above the Jets. I think I think worst case scenario here is still pretty good. It's still like a competitive team, and that's a big change for the Giants. So ultimately, Giants fans, I think you got to be really fired up. And yes, you mentioned it, Dante Moore not in the draft. So I think the Raiders are very happy that they got that #1 overall pick because the Jets at #2, it's not feeling like a draft where you could take a quarterback at #2. But maybe that's good for them. They've had their own issues forcing a pick.
Which job happens? Which job gets hired last? The Raiders or the Cardinals?
I feel like the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a weird one, but now that Harbaugh's happened, you do think
we'll start to see some.
We'll start to see
dominoes
some movement.
unfold.
I saw Mike McDaniel was supposedly at an airport going back potentially to Baltimore. Is there a chance that he would either get that job or want the offensive coordinator job? Who knows? They just had a spiffy picture of him at the airport. But we're going to be covering all the interviews.
Baltimore gets hired next.
All the
That's
candidates.
That's what I think. And then Tennessee. And then I think Steelers will be at the end too, just because their timing was later.
Steelers have had some fascinating asks that they went to Shieldhouse first, the Rams passing game, young guru. They went to Chris Shula.
By the way, I love everything with Shieldhouse, who's very smart, but they're like, he makes PowerPoint presentations.
Right. And he's like 30 years old.
I'm like, does that mean I get to be a coach? Because I made a heck of a deck back in my day.
You haven't worked for Sean McVay closely.
Shoot.
That's what really does it. And then on Thursday, they announced they are interviewing Clay Kubiak, the lesser-known Kubiak.
Someone please, Cooper Manning. He needs to get an interview now too because
but they have a type right now, and it sounds like it's a guy in his like young to mid 30s that they want to.
Does
kind of
Clay's
build around.
name also begin with a K?
Yes, Klay. We will be back on Saturday night, so we're going live after the divisional round game. It is myself and Nick Shook. We can't wait to do that show with you. Obviously, it'd be in your feeds, but check my social feeds and Nick's as well if you want a link, or check the NFL's YouTube page when it is live, or on the NFL Daily YouTube page afterwards. Can't wait to talk about 49ers and Seahawks and Bills and Broncos. Best weekend of the year, divisional round. We'll see you then.